Okay, in this video, I will talk about the string variable type in Python and how to work with strings. So a string is basically a sequence of characters or text stored as a variable in Python. So basically, whenever you try to process text, such as those found in the natural language, in a programming environment, you would call those strings, you would call those text strings. As for Python, people like to use Python to process strings and texts because Python is very powerful and flexible in processing strings and texts. So in order to work with strings in Python, the first thing you need to do is to declare a variable to store the string you want to store. So let me show you. So first, let me launch the IPython environment. So we can assign a piece of string and have it stored in a variable in Python. The way to do this is to first set up a variable name for the string. So in this case, let's call it string underscore one equals, that's the assignment operator. So basically it'll assign whatever to, the value is on the right of the assignment operator on the equal sign to the variable string one. So I can either use double quote or a single quote to start the actual value of my string. So I can say this is an example string ended by a period, and then I close the string with another single quotation mark. So this assignment, this line of code will simply assign, this is an example string, the piece of text, into the variable string underscore one. If I hit enter, it doesn't give any output because, well, you didn't ask it to give any output. So if we want to inspect the content of string underscore one, we just have to type string underscore one, and it shows us the content of that string. So right now, the sentence, this is an example string period, is stored in this variable string underscore one, and we can use this variable in the following coding, or you can call it in your program. Another way to declare a string, as I mentioned, is to use double quote. Okay, so this is another example string. Okay, so here I use the double quotation mark, and it also works in Python. So please note that when you type the variable name to get the output, by default, they're always shown in single quotes. Okay, so this is just the style of Python. You know, it always strives for that simplicity and readability. Okay, so let's say you want to declare a string that has multiple lines, right? This is only one line, it's one sentence. Let's say if you want to write a novel and store it in a string, or a paragraph of text, to be more realistic. So what you can do is type string underscore three equals. The way you would do it is whenever you're declaring a multi-line string, you should start with 3 quotation marks. And then you can either keep typing the text following, or the best way to do it, best practice in Python, is to hit enter first. And now you see, you notice that here are a few dots before the command, the 3 dots. So this means that this is a continuation of the previous line. So you're still in this piece of code that's declaring the variable string 3. So you're not out of it. You're not out of the input mode. So you can keep typing. You can say this is an example of a multi-line string variable. okay? And you can close it with 3 quotation marks. Okay, now I've declared this multi-line string. Okay, so in Python, this string actually has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. Okay, so it includes the first line, which is 3 quotes, and then the 3 lines of text, and then the final line, which is another 3 quotes. So together it's 5 lines. Okay, we can verify this by doing a count method on the string variable. So I can type string underscore 3 dot count. And the thing I'm counting is the line breaks. Okay, so basically when I was declaring this string variable, whenever I hit enter key, the enter key on my keyboard, I created a new line break, right? So what I can do is I count the line break, which is a /n in quotation marks, okay? So this is counting all the line breaks in this string variable, string 3. And it gives me 4. So which means there were 4 times that the line were broken. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So that gives us 5 lines. Okay, 5 lines of text with 4 line breaks. Okay. And another important property of Python strings is that the strings are immutable. Immutable, well, which means that they cannot be modified once they are declared. They're not mutable. So let's say now if I want to modify string underscore 1, okay, which is this is an example string. So let's say if I say string underscore 1, let's say I want to change a random character in the string to another character. So let's say the character at index 8. I'm gonna assign it to the letter A, and it's gonna give me an error. It's a string object does not support item assignment, right? So basically this means that you cannot modify a string. A string is immutable. Okay. However, what you can do is you can modify the content in the string and store that into a new variable, right? And the new variable will contain the updated string content. So let me declare string number 4. Okay, so we can say that's equal to string underscore 1. What I can do is I can call the replace method in Python, okay, to replace a particular word in the string with another word. Okay, so for example, in string 1, I'm going to change, this is an example string, to that is an example string, for example. So I'll replace this with the word that. So what this method will do is that it'll go over string number 1, and whenever it sees this, it will change that to that. It's kind of like the find and replace method, the functionality you find in Microsoft Word. So if I hit enter, it gives me an issue. Oh, it's because I forgot the single quotation at the end, so hit enter. Okay, so now if I do string 4, it says that is an example string. Okay, so it is based on string 1 with a little bit of modification. Okay, and another thing you can do is you can change a numerical variable in Python into a string. Okay, if you ever need to do that, it is possible. You can do that. So for example, if you type number underscore 1 is equal to, say, 7.8, right? So the type of number underscore 1 It's a float number, okay? So, and it contains the number, the value 7.8. Okay, so let's say now I want to make it, turn it into a string. So what I can do is I can use the string function, right? So I can do string number 5 is equal to str, which stands for string. And I put number underscore 1 as the argument, as the input into that function. And assign the value back to string number 5. So string number 5 now is a string with the character 7.8 in the string, okay? So I've effectively turned this float variable into a string variable and store the value into a new string variable, string underscore 5, okay? So each string is a sequence of characters, and therefore it can be treated like other sequences, such as lists and tuples in Python. Okay, so the way we can do this is, let's say now I have string number 4, which says that is an example string. So what I can do is I can actually turn the string into a list in Python. Okay, so I can do list underscore 1. I'll initiate a new list variable. And just the same as turning this number 1 into a string, here I can turn string number 4 into a list by typing the list function. And inside the parentheses, I give it string number 4 as the input. And now, if I look at list underscore number 1, it will be a list variable containing the content of this string underscore 4. And as you can see that this is actually a list with each character being one of the elements, right? Including the spaces, including the punctuations. So basically this list, if you look at its length, or if you look at the length of list underscore 1, okay, there are 26 characters, right? There are 26 characters in total in this string, including spaces and the final period, right? And the type of list underscore 1 is a list. Okay, so this is very useful whenever you want to do string manipulation in Python. Sometimes you want to turn a string into a list for easier operation and manipulation, because a list is mutable, so you can do all the modifications you want within that list, right? And you can also do the familiar list slicing, right? So I can say starting at the index number 3 and all the way up to the index 10, right? So I can cut out a particular piece of the list, okay? Just take out these elements starting from the index number 3 all the way to index number 9, okay? Okay, another very useful thing you can do with strings is called string concatenation. So basically you can add two strings together just like you would add two numbers together. However, instead of giving you an arithmetic answer, if you add two strings together, you simply get the two strings together as a longer string, with one string following the other. So to give you an idea, let me give you an example. So we have string 1 says this is an example string, and string 2 this is another example string. So what I can do is I can do a quick string concatenation. So I can do string 1 plus string 2. Okay, so here I'm adding two strings together as if they're numbers. Okay, as if we're doing addition. Okay, if I hit enter, I get this is an example string. This is another example string. So basically, these two strings are just placed together into one string with the second one following the first one. Okay, so this is very useful. So for example, when you have different strings and you want to add them together to form a paragraph, this is one way to do it. It's called string concatenation. Okay, another idea, another topic I want to cover in this video is string templating or string formatting. Okay, and this is a very important topic. Here I will briefly describe how it works with an example. Okay, so let's say first, let's say I'm declaring a template in this format. Okay, so first I will use a bunch of placeholders together with the texts I want to keep in the string to form a dynamic string. Okay, so I'll type 0, colon, 0.3 f, and then curly braces. Okay, this is my first placeholder. So later on, I will fill some value into this placeholder. Okay, my second placeholder is going to start as index 1, and then colon. Let me make it a string. Okay. So this is the second index, and let me make it an integer. Okay, so I've declared this template. Okay. Okay, so the first placeholder, 0 colon dot 2f dot 3f, basically means to format this first argument as a floating point number with 3 decimal places. Okay, and the second placeholder, 1 colon s, basically means to format the second argument as a string, and the last one, 2 colon d, which means to format the third argument as a integer. Okay, so D stands for integer, S stands for string, and F stands for floating point number. Okay, so what we can do is we can actually use the a method called format to put dynamic content into this template. So what I can do is I type temp.format, and then followed by that, I simply input the values I want to put in these 3 placeholders in the corresponding order, right? So in the first place, I want to put a floating point number with 3 decimal places, right? So I just type 5.67, okay? Sorry, let me put maybe 50.889. And the second place I want to say that here I want to put in a string. So let's say I want to put in the name of the currency. So let's say if I call it Bitcoin, okay, and then a comma. Is about how many US dollars. Okay, so this is gonna be a integer, so 50 Bitcoins. Let me see, that's about, let's say $6,000 a coin. So so it should be around $300,000. Okay, okay, so I have this formatted, and then if I hit enter, I get this output, right, which says 50.889 Bitcoin is about this much in US dollars. Okay, so this is a way for me to display dynamic content in strings, okay? And this is a very, actually very deep topic to how to form strings like this, how to put down templates and use a format method. You know, it can be another video all by itself. But for now, this is all I want to cover in terms of strings in Python. And later on, I'll post more videos about other variable types in Python. Okay, thank you so much.